Sec 3 NA Mathematics, now Chapter 5 Coordinate Geometry and Level TYS questions. Now, given the following number question, 21, the grid shows the line y equals to 2x plus 1. State the gradient of this line. So what do we know? We know that gradient equation of a line is given by y equals to mx plus c. So now we have y equals to 2x plus 1. Which number gives us the gradient? Well, the gradient will be m, which is the value 2. Now next they ask us to draw the line y equals to 1. Now if I want to draw a line y equals to 1, this line over here y equals to 1 means it only cuts which axis? Well, y equals to 1 only cuts the y-axis at the number 1. So what is the line that will cut only the y-axis at the number 1? Is it a horizontal or is it a vertical straight line? Well, it's a horizontal straight line. So it will look something like this. So this will be y equals to 1. Now next they want us to plot the points 1, 1 and 4, 10. So 1, 1 is over here, 4, 10 will be over here, and then I need to join them with one line. So this will be line L. Okay, then now they ask us to find the area on your paper, area enclosed by the line y equals to 2x plus 1, and the line y equals to 1, and the line L. So where's this area of this triangle? So area of the triangle enclosed is now this triangle over here. How do we find area of triangle? Area of triangle is given by half time base times the perpendicular height. So what is the perpendicular height over here? We have number 7 and a number 1. From 1 to 7 is a total of 6 units, and the base is 0 to 1 unit. So area of triangle enclosed is half time base times height. So for C part 2, area of triangle enclosed, half time the base is 1 and the height is 6. So that will give you 3 units squared. 3 square units. Have you gotten the answer? Next question, we have the points A, B, and O are given to be A to be 1, 3, negative 1, 3. So negative 1, 3, and B to be 5, 0, O to be 0, 0. Find the gradient of the line AB. You should be able to do this, right? What's the formula for the gradient? Well, gradient equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now let's plug in the points. I want A and B. So I'm going to use point A and point B. A, y2 minus y1, that will be 0 minus 3. 5 minus negative 1. Of course, you can do it the other way around. 3 minus 0, negative 1 minus 5. So be careful of the brackets for the negative number. Okay, and then from here we'll get negative 3 over 6. Simplifying, we'll get 1 over negative 1 over 2. So we should leave a gradient in fraction, not decimal. So after now I found the gradient, what can I do to find the equation of the line AB? How do I find the equation of line? So equation of line in general is given by y equals to mx plus c. Now I know the gradient is negative half, so the equation will become y equals to negative half x plus c. How do I find c? We have 3 points over here, A, B, and O. Which point do I use? Now take note, this is the line AB, so I can either choose point A or point B. So probably I'll choose point B. B is given to be 5, 0. So I'll let, in this case, 5 is the value for x, 0 is the value for y. So this will be 0 equals to negative half times 5 plus c. And this is negative 5 over 2. How to get c only? So bring over negative 5 over 2, it will become positive 5 over 2. So we know that c is equals to 5 over 2. But is this the final answer for the equation? No, right? So equation is given to be y equals to mx plus c. So what's the gradient now? M is negative half x. And then the c y-intercept is 5 over 2. Do not write in mixed number. Do not write in decimal place. Use improper fraction. Alright. Now, next part of the question. Find the area of triangle AOB. So if I want to find area of triangle AOB, that means I'm going to draw this triangle first. So that means I want the area of this triangle. How do you find the area of a triangle? Area of triangle is given to be half times base times the perpendicular height. What is the base here in this case? So our base here is from 0 to 5, total of 5 units. That means where is the perpendicular height? The perpendicular height will be somewhere down here. This is the 90 degree, right? So my triangle have that triangle, but the base is 5. The height is 1, is 0. So 1, 2, 3 units over here. So area of triangle will be now half times base, which is 5, times the height 3. So area of triangle half times. So we get 15 divided by 2. This one is can you write it as a fraction or decimal or improper fraction? Since it's talking about area, should I leave it as a mixed number? Next one, find the coordinates of point C such that AOBC is a parallelogram. What's a parallelogram? So I have this going in this order: A to O, O to B, and then B to C. Okay, let's need to draw a little bit of diagram over here. A go to O. Okay, I'm going to erase away all this working so that we can see things clearer. Okay, we're working for the previous questions. So now I will go from A, O, B, and C. A join to O, O join to B, and B must join to C. Where is C? So if this is going to be a parallelogram, so it will be A will be somewhere proportional, right? So now I notice I have this part here to be how many units? From 0 to 5, there are 5 units. So if going to be a parallelogram, A from here, this is the number -1. I'll need to travel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units as well. That means I'll end up with this point A, O, B, and then part C, point C. So what will be the coordinates of this point? The x coordinate is number 4. The y coordinate is the number 3. So C will be 4, 3. Let's write this down as our answer. Okay, so if we have this as the answer, next one they ask me to find area of parallelogram. Now my parallelogram looks like that, right? So if I were to do this, I found the area of triangle AOB just now, right? So what's the relation? So this is AOB. What's the relationship between parallelogram or area of parallelogram AOBC and area of triangle AOB? So I just need to take the area over here and then do what to it? So times 2. So it'll be 7.5 times 2. That will give me the number 15 units squared. Have you gotten the answer? Now, in the next part of this lesson, we're going to go through this particular example. Now, we'll notice that all the questions are getting tougher and tougher, and it not only involves just finding equation of straight line, it also involves identifying particular shapes and points, right? So now, in this question over here, take a look at this picture. What do you think is the name of this shape? What does it look like? Well, some of them may tell me it's diamond shape or parallelogram, trapezium. Okay, all of these are the incorrect answers. Now, well, this picture over here is actually called a kite. Doesn't it look like a kite? Okay, so now for answer the first question, part A, they say write down the equation of the line of symmetry. Where is this line of symmetry for this diagram A, B, C, D? Well, do you understand that? Do you see the symmetrical line? Okay, this is actually a mirror image about this particular line here where we have a line of symmetry. So this one cuts this line cuts this diagram into two parts, two exact equal halves. So now if I have this kind of line, is this a horizontal or a vertical straight line? Well, this is a horizontal line. This horizontal line cut only which axis? It cuts only the y-axis. At which number? 6, right? So what is the equation of this line? Therefore, part A, the equation of this line is y equals to 6. Next one, part B, calculate the area of the whole diagram A, B, C, D, the kite. Now, what do we notice? We notice that A, B, C, D is now cut into two halves. That means I will have two triangles. So if I have two triangles, I just need to find area of one triangle and then multiply by 2. But how do I find the area of this triangle? Area of triangle is given by half times base times the height. Now do not just count only the squares, okay, because sometimes the number of the axis, the scale can be 1 square represent 2 units. But now in this case, we are quite good, lucky. The squares, 1 square represent 1 unit each. So what is the number of units on the base? From the number 2 and number 8, it tells me that there are 6 squares. And then what's the perpendicular height? I have 8 and 6. That means there's a height of 2. So now to find the area of A, B, C, D, that means it's going to give me half times base times height, the whole thing multiplied by 2 because there are two triangles. So therefore the area is 12 square units. Have you gotten the answer? Part C, they ask to calculate the length of AB. If I want to calculate the length of AB, we will need to use the Pythagoras theorem. Something square plus something square, correct? But now since they are talking about AB, we need to know the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B. So coordinates of A is the number 2, 6. What about B? B will be 6, 8. The X number is 6, the Y number is 8. So now we will have y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And they tell us to give the answer correct to 2 decimal places. So I should key everything like this into the calculator. And now it rounded off to 4.47 units. Okay, next one, part D. They ask us to find the equation of the line AD, right? This is talking about AD. A is the point 2, 6. D is the point, D, not B, okay? D is the point 6, 4. right? So in this case, we have this question over here. How do we find the equation of the line? Now, there are some information that we need, right? Number one, first step to find the gradient. So step one, find the gradient. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that gives me negative 2 over 4. Negative half. Is that it? Now that I know the gradient, what do I do next? I need to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit more to find space for myself. Y-intercept is y equals to step 2, y equals to mx plus c. So the m will now be negative half x plus c. I need a point. This is the line equation of line AD. So either I can use the point A or I can use the point D. So A is 2, 6, B is 6, 4. I choose, let's say I choose A, okay? 2, 6. So if it's 2, 6, X is the value 2, Y is the number 6. So I have 6 equals to negative half times 2 plus C. Therefore, C equals to 7. But is this the equation of the straight line? No, right? So equation is y is now equals to negative half x plus the y-intercept is the number 7. So this will be the answer. Now, before we move on to the next part of the question, I've added one part E over here. Okay, just like to do some reminders. Okay, do you know how to solve simultaneous equation? There are two different methods to solve simultaneous equation. Do you know what are they? One is the substitution method. The other one is the elimination method. Now, in the next part of question, we need to use the following skill. Okay, and if you cannot remember how to do elimination, then you probably have to follow with us closely. Alright, now I shall begin. Okay, next part of the question says the line y equals to 2y minus x equals to 6 cuts the point line AD at the point P. Now, what is the meaning of a point P? A point have how many coordinates? How many value? How many number? A point has an x and a y number, isn't it? So in this case, there are two unknowns. If I have two unknowns, how many equations will I need? I will need two equations. So now they tell me that the first line is given by this equation, 2y minus x equals to 6. That's equation number 1. Then where do I get the second equation? It tells me that it cuts the line AD. Eh? What is the equation of AD? Have I found the answer just now? Well, yes, I found the answer over here just now. Equation of line AD. AD now give us y equals to negative half x plus 7. Is it arranged in that form? My equation number 1 has it in y, x, and then number. So now in this equation number 2, I'll need to do a little bit of adjustment. Okay, let's change the placing a bit. We also want it in terms of y, x, and then number. So now negative half x come over here will become positive half x. And then this number will be staying here, 7. Right? Equation number 2. Now we notice if we want to solve by elimination, we will try to make one of the units the same, for number of units for x or y to be the same. So in this case, I'm going to choose to make y the same. This is 2y, this is y. How do I make them the same number of units? So I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2 throughout. Okay, so if that's the case, my equation number 2 now changes to 2y plus half times x will give you x. 7 times 2, 40. That's equation number 2. And compare with our equation number 1, 2y minus x equals to 6. Okay, so now when the terms are exactly equal, 2y is equals to 2y, I'll do a subtraction to make 2y disappear. Okay, if I want to do a subtraction, this sign over here will change to become plus sign. And this one is positive, so it's still minus. So now I have x plus x to give me 2x. 14 plus 6 will give me 20. Therefore, x will now be 10. That means in my coordinate for point P, x is now the number 10. Okay? Now, after we found x, what do we need to do? We need to find the value for y. So I'm going to sub x equals to 10 into any one of the equation. Maybe I'll choose equation 1 then. Okay, equation 1 will be 2y minus x is now the number 10 equals to 6. And then we try to solve for the value of y. 6 plus 10, 16. So 2y is equals to 16, y is equals to the number 8. So now y, the y coordinate, this number will now be 8. So what are the coordinates of the point P? Oops, sorry. So coordinates of point P are x is 10, y is 8. Okay, have you gotten the answer? Now we have come to the end of today's lesson, so let's do a quick recall before we go into the end. Now the skills that we use in today's lessons are, the first one is gradient. Do you know the formula for gradient? Well, gradient is given by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And next, how do we find the length between 2 points? So it's given by square root something square plus something square. What's inside the brackets? y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Okay, and we have tried to find the fourth point of the parallelogram. Let's say I have point A, join to O, join to B, A, O, B, and C will definitely be somewhere over here. So if this is a parallelogram, the length over here and the opposite side will be the same number of units. So we need to count the units a little bit in order to get to the answer. And last but not least, as usual, to find the equation of a line involves 3 steps. First one is to find the gradient, after which we write down as y equals to mx plus c. Find the y-intercept by subbing in a point. Okay, don't know what number. Then after that, we write down the equation. Okay, so that is good. And one last part of it, which we just finished it earlier on, is to find the point of intersection, the coordinates. So if I have a line L, which is one equation, and a line H to be another equation, so this line L will be equation 1, line H will be equation 2. I need to find a point P. Coordinates of point P comes in x and y number. So I have 2 unknowns. That means I need 2 equations. So I'm going to use the solving the simultaneous equation so that we can get the x and y value, which gives us actually the coordinates of the point of intersection. Now, have you gotten some of the major concepts? We'll see you for tomorrow's lesson.